Hi, today is the 19th of June, 2022. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Today is the 19th of June, 2022, also known as Father's Day in this year of 2022. So make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos. Go to my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. So, in the reference as to, in a conglomerate sort of way, as per usual, for those of you who have watched my official YouTube videos before and listened, thank you. Make sure to share the link to my official YouTube videos. And if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect. So Father's Day. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword in some ways. Or if you know anything about swords craftsmanship, well, I guess it depends on how many sides that sword can actually have when you really think about it. And so, for those who know about certain factors as to, well, this day is going to be a little bit interesting for this official YouTube video of mine. Make sure to go to my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. So, my biological father had been certified by the School of Bulova and was capable to fix and repair Bulova watches, Rolex watches, Seiko watches, those particular clocks that have all sorts of doohickey-mabobs that make all sorts of noise, and that sort of stuff, as well as grandmother and grandfather clocks. In conjunction to that, he knew how to actually make jewelry and fix and repair jewelry. He could also certify gemstones. And so he also was a trustee of Old Tennant Presbyterian Church in the 1980s and 1990s. He had done a whole bunch of other stuff. Because of my biological mother, he had decided, because of my biological mother listening to my biological little sister complain, because all of my biological little sister's friends, their dads had college degrees. Here's the irony though, those college degrees and all those employments that came from that were usually people who went to locations where our biological father was capable to fix and repair those watches that they had on their wrists and those clocks on their walls and that sort of stuff. But my biological little sister didn't pay attention to that, pun intended for those who know about jewelry. Small and tiny, minute little details. Okay. And so my biological little sister complained to our biological mother about how many of her friends' dads had college degrees. They had these pieces of paper. Those pieces of paper and all that sort of stuff as far as that was concerned. So my biological father had then went to college because, you know, anybody who's met my biological little sister as a biological adult, well, you know how that can be. Just think of how she was as a child. Don't be jealous. I've told people before that have tried to get me to look at things a certain way, and it's one of those, no, you don't know how that was. No. Oh, you think, you just wait. I'm giving you warnings. You think what? Oh, no. Let me give you the reality, which is part of this official YouTube video, which is usually a part of any of my official YouTube videos, realistically anyway. So, in those particular factors, so if you met her as a biological adult, or even, for in reference to Crystal Lake, Illinois, How annoying. But they knew how people were from New Jersey. 1998 and 1999. So there's this term that the East Coast knows, which is not the same as Japanese. It's a term called Jap. It's not the same though. It's a Jewish American princess or a Jewish American prince. And so what that translates to in the non-Jewish aspects is an only child. Okay. So, you know, my biological little sister had wanted to be an only child. And not only did she want to be an only child, she was also the baby of the family. So, you know, those who have dealt with that particular factor, you now understand in a different capacity of that particular terminology. And so, you know, I bet that makes a little bit more sense now. And I made attempts to give warnings in Illinois about my biological little sister, you know, and then the warnings I made attempts to give throughout the state of Texas as far as my biological little sister. And, you know, that is as it is. So this is the year of 2022. Okay, so anybody who has had a baby of the family that has not, obviously hasn't dealt with an only child, although cousins that have had families with only children, you understand this, okay? You really do. I know you do. And so, you know, anytime I went to go do something, no matter what it was, Susan's doing this, and Susan's doing that, and Susan did this, and Susan did that. And so, you know, and then I dealt with stuff, and there are some who I'm sure have learned how this goes, and so she'd go and tattletale. You know, anybody who's had a baby of the family, whatever, you know, the youngest one and all that sort of stuff. And then because she looked more Asian than I do, then there's that, because then there's a different version. Oh, daddy's a girl, because I don't look Asian. Okay, I made the joke. Okay, I looked through some pictures after I woke up from my coma after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, after my biological parents moved to the state of Texas. And I made this joke and I said, wow, like, I look really Asian. Except for all of a sudden my eyes went round. What scared me that year? And my biological mother was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay, you know. It's not important for you to remember what happened in the backyard that year. Okay, so I've done these updates to my journal blog, The Ordinary PSA. On my website, www.susanvling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. And so, what happened? So in these pictures, these school pictures, I have like a more Asian, and okay, there's no better terminology other than almond-shaped eyes or slanted eyes as far as that's concerned. So they went from that, and then my skin tone was a little bit darker, not by much at all. And so I had a nightmare in second grade, and in third grade, all of a sudden my eyes were round, and I don't know what happened. And yet, you know, so there are these updates to my journal blog, The Ordinary PSA. I got into scuba diving, and then there's Indiana 1999, as well as Irving in 2011, for some sort of a bit of a reference point. Gotta remember though, 1994, when I was in 6th grade, there was a solar eclipse. Yeah, so... So, you know, I may have hypothetically handled a few situations, as I already explained. And so, did the best I could. It is as it is. And so my biological little sister's all like, Dad, anybody who's ever anybody who knows my biological little sister and been around at that particular point in time. Dad, so like Mindy Dong's dad has a degree, and you work on watches, and so he has a degree, and that's Mindy Dong's dad, and so it's not fair because Susan has a buckle and a buckpoo, but you know, you don't have a college degree, so it'd be so cool if you got a college degree. And then when that didn't work, because Mike was working when he dealt with that, and I looked over and I'm like, can you just leave him alone? Like, can you just not be an annoying whatever? Then it was, Mom! Mom! Dad won't listen to me. He won't you have a college degree? Yeah, you have a college degree. Dad doesn't have a college degree. Why does Dad not have a college degree, but you have a college degree? And my response was, shut up, Patricia. Which you might see certain for those who have known. And so, my biological father went from doing his own work and stuff like that to then getting a college degree because he had, and anybody who's dealt with this, he had Mike and Anna. You should really think about getting a college degree because what are you really doing with your life? And Dad, you know, if you really, if you want to be a cool dad, in comparison to where I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to regret it if you go and get a college degree. You're going to be mad. You're going to be so mad. Just think of how much money. Just think. Thankfully, you won't be mad at me. You'll be mad at them. Rightfully so. I'll do what I can to mitigate the damages, okay? I know, I do. You have no idea how much I know, as far as that's concerned. And you know what, you might not want to know, but at some point you'll find out, and then you'll be angrier. And so for those who knew my biological father, before I had authored my first 2 books, you met him most likely when he was medicated, especially in the state of Texas, so there's that. Medication works for some people, not all. And he is the one who had said that's why it's called a medical practice, because they haven't gotten it correct. And yet, my biological little sister and my biological mother convinced him to go to be an RN. And so just gonna leave it at that. And then he dealt with females, because at that time it was only females really in that field. And so then it went, and so that was in the 1990s. Mm-hmm. So, then there's those factors of when I was in 5th grade. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, you know, Anna was like, oh, well, you know, if you're going to go to college, I remember how college was. Fuck. And so, you know, these are Anna's words. I had my master's degree in science. So hi. Hi, yeah. So 5th grade happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't be jealous. There's nothing to be jealous about at all whatsoever. Why didn't I get along with my biological mother? I think that there are people who can listen to this and understand as far as that's concerned. So my biological mother at that time in the 1980s and 1990s, she was working at Prudential, okay? And so she did information technology, programming, and engineering in Prudential. And so those who know what Prudential, like the larger aspects of that conglomerate. And so, hi, I'm the firstborn, and I look as I do. So then, my biological mother was a deacon at Old Tenet Presbyterian Church. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't be jealous. Not gonna be jealous. I've actually had people who have tried to convince me that they were jealous of me, and I was like, no, if you ever find out even a small amount of what I dealt with as a child, no matter how much you might not like me, you will actually at some point have sympathy, I promise. And then you will be so that you won't know what to do for yeah, I promise. I promise. And this was in Austin for some of that. So, fast forward from the 1980s, 1990s, passed into the 2000s after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, after I woke up from my coma, after the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe, well, during the time frame of the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. And, you know, I had already given birth to my son 1.5 years after waking up from my coma, and given birth to my daughter 2.5 years after waking up from my coma. And remember, I had already told people about the Justice of the Peace situation by that point in time. And my now dead ex-husband, my ex-in-law's dead relative, had informed them as to how that occurred. Now, he was the baby of the family of 4 children, okay? And so out of those 4 children, he was the only one who went to college and graduated, okay? And so my now dead ex-husband had several uniforms, and I made attempts to tell people in the state of Texas, in the city of San Antonio, about this. I told them about how the Justice of the Peace went. At Wilford Hall, I told them as to, obviously for each appointment I had, as to those factors. And I went on in regards of these different details, and I made attempts to explain some of these uniforms because I haven't ever seen these uniforms before. They're not old Army uniforms, they're not old Marine uniforms. The patterns are a lot darker in color, except for one that is a blue and white horizontal striped tank top and stuff like that. And I made attempts to tell people, and nobody knew what I was talking about. I had brought up the aspects as to where I was born and raised, and similar to when I was a child. And instead of that, it was, oh, well, you had a head injury. Yeah, I did, though the physical proof is still the physical proof. It doesn't change that. There's no circumstantial evidence. The physical proof is the physical proof. So my ex-mother-in-law, she said that she was from the Dominican Republic, and yet she likes the way cashew plants look, which I looked up, and the botany for that island does not have cashew plants. And so then there's the type of voice she has, the way when she gets angry, how she speaks. And so there was a point in time, if I remember, it was around 2008, where I had this weird sensation. It was after I had purchased my house in Carrollton, and and anybody who knows certain aspects, there are different types of Spanish words. You have Mexican, you have Spain Spanish, you have Portuguese, which is a form of Spanish. you have South American, you have all that stuff. And then you have the island areas, such as Puerto Rico and stuff like that. And so one day I was in the kitchen and I said, hey, Grandma Nichols. And she goes, what, Susan? And I said, coño. And she looked at me and she goes, oh, buenos dias. So I made attempts to tell people. So for those who don't know, coño means fuck you. Okay? Just so you know. So anybody who doesn't know that there's that, because my babysitter and her husband were from the Dominican Republic. And so my babysitter, when she would get angry, as any aspects of being around, you know, you when you have to swear, sometimes you use whatever you use. And so she would say coño, and that either meant fuck or fuck you. And so, buenos dias. Huh. Okay. All right then. And so I made attempts everywhere I could to bring this forward. Fast forward to the year 2014, and I sent official reports in the Library of Congress. Yes, I registered and copyrighted my books, but it was one of those, I have no idea where else to send this, because this is way beyond anything. I mean, I already know that there's the issues with the rack and all that sort of stuff regarding Grandpa Nichols' rack in comparison, so on and so forth. What is going on here? And so, sent the books to my biological father. This is what I dealt with because of Anna. This is, you know, but I also did other stuff too. So, you know, here's, you know, yes, there's finding a silver lining and finding the silver lining, but I can write creatively too. There's the fiction book series along with it. However, here's this. Finding a silver lining and finding the silver lining, 100% facts. And, here, you know, sort of thing. Because what else? I had made attempts with all of these other areas, all of these other groups. So in the year of 2003, my biological little sister goes to live with me for a little while in my house in San Antonio, and then I deal with those 3 little high schoolers that weren't invited to my house in regards of it's my house, so I'm the one and only sponsor, so there's that factor to take in consideration. Then, you know, then Mike and Anna, you know, moved afterwards and stuff like that to San Antonio. And I got into the San Antonio pagan community because of different studies regarding books and whatnot. And so when I first started attending, well, my now dead ex-husband, it was just before the first separation. You know, some of the individuals were like, that he's abusive. Well, what's abusive? I didn't know what that word was. And so that was explained. I've more recently in official YouTube videos of mine have gone through that, and so explained what I could. And so, but there's also the energetic factors, which some of them didn't really pick up on, which is an irony because of the statements as far as that's concerned. Well, my biological mother and my biological father, though more so my biological mother, started going to Pagan Night Out. And so from 2004, around March or April, is when I started attending Pagan Night Out. The first separation began shortly after that, and later I had my own apartment for a little while, USA Boulevard, and then that particular situation where I had made the attempts to call 911. I had told people about it, but I also wrote about it. And yes, I did go and I had my sword. I had my sword and a few daggers, actually, to be quite honest. And I was, as best as I could, ready to take care of that, if I could have figured out the exact location. But because of the situation, so again, in reference to finding a silver lining where I could, make the attempts that I could, is what I did, as best as I could. And so energetically, all I could do was take away that pain instead, so that way, if I was accurate, and so did what I could. It's why you don't mess with other people's technology. It's why you don't do that, because if they have to make a 911 phone call, well, if you mess with somebody else's technology, they go to make a 911 phone call, there's a reason for an emergency phone number. And so if you do that sort of garbage, you put that karma in your direction, as far as that's concerned, in my opinion. And so, it's best not to do that at all, ever, because you don't know what you don't know. And so my biological mother and my biological little sister, being the problematic what have yous that they've always been, always thinking that they were whatever in comparison, they needed to learn to stay in their own lane, which was not anywhere near what I was doing, just what they needed to accept. And so then there were the situations in the year 2005. Well, in 2005, around March, I meet a female at Pagan Night Out. I'm fairly well known in the Pagan Night Out community in San Antonio in that time frame. My hairstyle being different and not having tattoos, of course, at that point in time. Nonetheless, this female comes up. My biological mother is within earshot, and it's just, because she had tried to pretend to be camo, and yet she would tell people that my biological little sister was her only daughter. She had done so all the way throughout that time frame of 2004 into 2005. Then this female says something about a Renaissance fair. All of a sudden, my biological mother, oh, hi, Susan, how you doing? And so she goes on and starts telling Dawn about how magically, there you go. And as far as that's concerned, I'm sure there may be some people who may have learned about this particular factor, where all of a sudden you found out about me, where you thought Patricia was the only whatever, and most likely she told you something such as, well, Susan's a free spirit and she does things her own way. Or, well, sometimes Susan forgets because she had a head injury, when in reality it was she chose not to tell you the truth. It's just what it is. And so in comparison to being a decent human being, in my opinion, is what it is. So she starts speaking with Dawn about TRF, which I don't know what TRF is, and SCA, and I don't know what SCA is. Those who are in those reenactment sort of what have yous, well, Dawn understood that. And so they start talking back and forth about that reenactment stuff of TRF and SCA in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm standing there and I'm like, well, wait, I don't understand. What are you guys talking about? And they started talking about guilds and other stuff, and I'm like, what is that? I don't have a good sensation about that. What are you talking about? And so my biological father wasn't there that night. And so I'm just like, what is that? What is this? What is a guild? And what is SCA? And what is TRF? What is that? And so my biological mother and Dawn just start, oh, you understand. There are those who know what I'm talking about. Well, when it came to Old Tenant Presbyterian Church, there was historical reenactments, but not. What it was people dressed up in whatever aspects of, and it was only on one day, and we would go and honor the founding members of Old Tenant Presbyterian Church at Old Scott's Burial Ground, okay? We'd have actual bagpipe players come in, so on and so forth. And they're talking about stuff that is not that. So I make attempts to remain in the conversation that they were having. And I was like, well, do you mean like this? And my biological mother, no. You don't understand. SCA and TRF are kind of a really big deal. You know, you're you. Now, everybody knows at that point in time in that particular group that I'm the original baby Jesus Christ. And I don't understand. And so, I have a sensation that, that might be a little bit more accurate in a few aspects. And so I don't get a good sensation from it, so I walk away. My biological mother says, no, come talk with it. No, I don't like what energy I'm picking up at all, whatsoever. And my biological mother says, Susan, you can trust your mommy dearest. Yeah, no, I don't. Nope. No. So a bunch of people heard her say that, and they all, did you just call yourself Susan's mommy's dearest? And Anna was like, yes. And she literally goes, yes, I'm Susan's mommy's dearest. Yes, I am. That's who I am to her. I'm Susan's mommy dearest. And I'm just like, I'm gonna go smoke. And half of these people were like, you're an evil woman. And my biological mother goes, no, I'm Susan's mommy dearest. No, you don't understand her childhood and her teenage years. Yeah, I'm just her mommy dearest, that's all. That's all you need to think about. I'm just her mommy dearest. That's it. What do you have to be concerned about? And these people that freaked out were like, because you're a horrible human being. How could you even be a human being? And my biological mother, no, I'm Susan's mommy dearest. Yes. She had a head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. You don't understand. I'm Susan's mommy dearest. It's okay. She just needs to understand. And I stood there and I'm like, yeah, no, she's not, no. Well, then the irony is a bunch of people who had I already talked with about some aspects of my childhood, they're like, no, Susan, she actually is your mommy dearest. And I'm like, no, because, and so I don't know if there's a pop culture reference at that time. So there's that. And so, then, I have a sensation, don't be jealous, okay? That might make a little more sense right about now. And so, and I don't know why this is an irony, though maybe there is an ironic pop culture reference. My biological mother then looks over at me, and she does it in this really creepy way, okay? I know it might be like, how could it be more creepy? And yet, hold on. So she's looking over at where I was standing, or she was looking over where Dawn was standing, and so I'm over here, and she's talking with that, and then she goes, hold on. She's talking over here, and then she goes, Susan, do you remember Cary Grove? And I was like, yeah, what about Cary Grove? What about it? And she's like, what do you remember about Cary Grove? It was in Illinois. That's all I remember. my biological mother, okay, so she's talking with Dawn and she goes, it's important. You should really get into the guild. It'll be fun it'll be fun. Remember, Mommy Dearest. And I'm just standing there and I'm like, I don't like the feeling I just got. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't. And then she goes and tells me that she thinks I'm overreacting. Yeah. She was like, oh, you're so overreactive. You're so overdramatic. And I'm like, no. I don't know. No. And so, yeah. So then there's Excalibur Fair. And I get back from Excalibur Fair, I am enraged. I'm so pissed off because I got surrounded by 5 males who had weapons, and then I was like, I will, because they threatened my wings, and so I was like, I will, don't make me. Sort of whatever. And so my biological father was sent out to speak with me because she tried to speak with me. I was like, that is the dumbest thing ever, blah, 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 blah. My biological father just, all right, what did your mother do this time? She defended this. And he was like, well, no, calm down. And so he hadn't ever been to a Renaissance fair. And so I'm telling him, I'm like, no, these people, they jumped out of the trees with knives in their hand. They were all dressed up and stuff. And he's like, that's probably just having to do with your memory issues. No, it happened. I have an issue with my memory, yes, because of what happened. And so Anna was like, no, it's okay. What is there for you to be frightened of? You, yeah, you're a horrific human being. And my biological mother was like, I'm just a mommy dearest, that's all. And so, I'm gonna destroy you. Do you understand that? I'm gonna destroy you. And my biological mother goes, why would you do that to your mommy dearest? Because you're you. That's why. It's what's gonna happen. I'm telling you right now, there will be a day where you are obliterated. And you will know it's your fault for everything you did. And my biological mother looks over at my biological father and she says, Michael, do you hear how Susan's speaking at me? Can you believe she has such an attitude? And I look over at Mike, and Mike's like, Susan, you should have more respect for your mom. And it's like, yeah, no, thank you, I suppose. But remember, I had to have, for me to leave, I had to have a cesarean occur so that way I could get out of you, so that way I didn't have to be anywhere near you, okay? Like I don't know what more you need for that reference in comparison to where my son and my daughter were like holding on to my rib cage. They're like, no, we don't want to leave. It's like, yeah, I understand. Believe me, yes, I understand. So that's there's that. And so where my other ex-in-laws may not have known about those uniforms, despite I had told them so. I had told them about that. They didn't see anything wrong with that. And it's like, okay, your dead brother had 5 different uniforms. They did not look anything remotely similar. And I've looked through books. I went to a few Barnes and Nobles in different areas to search through the books to see if I could even find one uniform that was of the United States of America's Armed Forces. It didn't matter whether it was the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, the Navy, nothing was remotely close to these uniforms. The cover, as far as the head cover, nothing remotely close. My now dead ex-husband had talked about how he had been with so he said he had an uncle that was a general in the army, and then he started talking about Kazakhstan. And what, and so I made attempts to tell people from 2001, essentially, through, well, now this is 2022. I've written about as well as discussed as to how the 11th of September occurred. And the situations of where I made multiple attempts over and over again. And a bunch of people, oh, you just had a head injury. Yeah, so what? So what? It doesn't matter, it's still the facts. Well, fast forward to 2000. So 2005 is when that Excalibur fair happened around April. And those people actually had the nerve to not understand why I was offended. First and foremost, that was the first and only Renaissance fair that I had ever been to. It doesn't matter that my biological mother had been a part of that. I wasn't. That's the thing. Learn to distance the aspects of. So there's that social distance as to not having ever been to any TRF, whatever that is, and not having ever been to any SCA, whatever that is. Have no idea at all whatsoever. Though remember, when I was born and for a few years in the state of New Jersey, when is Christmas? Just keep that in mind. And I'm the original baby Jesus Christ. Keep that in mind for those who actually know what TRF and SCA stuff, and I still don't know, because if you put it into a search engine, which I've put in different acronyms into a search engine, there's so many different acronyms, I have no idea what to go on in that reference. So for those who know about anything regarding Renaissance fairs and TRF and SCA, my biological mother, huge part of that. Yeah, so proud. And it's no. So any military guy that I could speak with, it was one of those, I don't know what it is. I don't know. What I do know is they have swords and daggers when they walk around, and then they jump out of trees and they play games, and I don't like games. Yeah, no. And so I had been honest in regards of my apartment at USA Boulevard. I was like, yeah, I totally did that. That was a spiritual sword and spiritual daggers, because I don't deny certain things in regards of. I do not deny that. I have known how to utilize and charge items to do that in that reference. So I don't deny that, and that's a whole other situation. However, there is a difference. And so in that capacity, I knew how to do certain things, and it's a religious, spiritual, I don't have better words for, but that in regards of Excalibur Fair garbage, or now I think it's called the Sherwood Fair or Sherwood Forest Fair in the Bastrop, Smithsville area of Texas, those people, as far as that's concerned, no. So back then, I didn't have my hairstyle this way. I have posted a picture of what I wore the first day regarding the blue and black V type of corset with the square neck with the high empire collar and stuff like that. I got that on eBay, I think, is the first location. And then I had the wings. So the first set of wings were white with silver glitter. And then the second set of wings were the ones that I purchased at the Renaissance Fair. And I was like, oh, it's the first pair of wings that kind of look like some of mine. And so that is what it is. Huge issue as far as going and walking through the fairgrounds, because Dawn, Christy, and John, Christy's brother, had went to the pirate area because that was the theme, and I was dressed as I was in comparison, and they knew that I hadn't ever been to a Renaissance fair before. They were informed of that. My biological mother had told them that she had been a part of TRF. She had been a part of SCA, not me at all. And so those people were like, we can't speak with you at the Renaissance Fair because you're nobility or some whatever. And it's, I don't even, like, you telling me that I went all the way from San Antonio, Texas, to whatever this location is, and now I have to go, you suck, I hate you. Like, we are not going to be friends when we get back at all. And they were like, why not? And I said, what is wrong with you? And so, I was only awake from my coma, a little, I don't even know if it was a whole 4 years. So I still had that subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain. And then, I was still learning how to count, okay? And I, had the knowledge of some names of colors, but, I was still working on it. I was doing what I could, So, you might as well take this in consideration of a 4-year-old, okay? And so just walking around, seeing people with swords and knives and all that sort of stuff, and then these random whatevers jump out of trees with weapons in their hands, and they're like, oh, we have hot wing saucer, give me some wing sauce or something. And, it's just, that's just how that is, no big deal. And then they had the nerve to get angry at me for being like, I will. And then they had the nerve to be upset because I made them drop all of their weapons, and I was about to use them until they were like, we're sorry, we're so sorry. Yeah, you're sorry. You're a sorry sack of shit for what you did. You have no idea. You better be glad that you disarmed. You better not. So then they made false accusations to the law enforcement that was there. I had to deal with them lying to the law enforcement sheriff guy. I dealt with that during the time frame, and it wasn't even my fault because they were all, oh, she falsified this, and it was one of those, no, I didn't falsify anything. There's nothing I falsified. You have done all of these needless problems. Take responsibility for your accountability because that's your stupidity. And so these sorts of needless problems, the rest of the weekend there. So the Renaissance Fair closed as far as the time frame, and then afterwards was out in the campgrounds, and then they gave me some drink which I was told was Gatorade, and it wasn't, obviously. They said it was going to taste like Gatorade, but it was a homemade brew of Loki or something, I don't know. And I was like, what is that? I know who that guy is, and well, we've had a few issues, and so we've had some disagreements. I've had to put him in his place a few times. So you made a drink out of that. And so but I had been belly dancing around the fire for a while, and so then after that, it was as it was. And so those people, then the next day, the same thing. And so they were like, oh, you've got your little wings and you're this and look at what you got. And it's one of those, you know what, it's a good thing I didn't. You know what, I'm gonna go over this angel sword area, and I'm gonna you have no idea what training I have. I recommend you back off. It's not a game. Don't care. And so those people, those Renaissance Fair types of people, and then they had the nerve to have an attitude because I wasn't willing And they were like, well, you dress the part, excuse you. How dare I wear whatever outfit I choose to wear? You're wearing costumes, leave me alone. And so it went on and on and on from that. So then, the San Antonio Pagan Night Out, oh, Susan, I heard that whatever, and a bunch, and this is the irony, a bunch, started coming around and they're like, so I heard what happened. So, and they knew the males, the 5 males who had jumped out of the trees, and they're like, so you totally, it was like St. John Vianney High School after the bus ride, as far as that's concerned. It's like, no, I didn't do that. No, I didn't do that. No. Wow, I didn't. Where did you hear I did that? Where would you think that would be? What is wrong with you people? Really? So you think I just went and, How is that physically possible? Now, granted, yes, I know, okay, my scuba diving, but this is before my scuba diving in my defense. So what? And so then there was an even bigger divide, essentially. My biological mother was like, oh, Susan, why did you have to do things that way? Because these people jumped out of trees and I needed to defeat them. So I did. And then they threw little titty baby temper tantrums because they were defeated and they are permanently crushed because they won't ever be capable to recover. So they might as well just do something better with their lives unless they want me to do it worse. Because I don't ever do everything full force. I do mitigate. I do have that kindness. Keep that in mind. I don't need to utilize that way. There are more important things about life than to utilize my energy that way. That's a waste of time. They're not worth it. And so then, other people, are you saying we're not worth it? Yeah, for stupid games, yes, stupid games are not worth it. I don't care at all. Don't want to have anything to do with it. Well, then they got all titty baby temper tantrumy. Yeah. Then I didn't know that in the pagan community there were people who were involved with what is supposed to be considered the adult consenting lifestyle of BDSM and swinger community. So where I was already defending people in different situations, mainly at Temple of Flesh, then that uptick went ridiculous as to how many I had to deal with there. And in my defense, which my biological father would be proud of, I did not make it where there was any walls that needed to be repaired, such as the drywall or the stucco. So in my defense, there's that. I did not break anything, so there's that. That's a positive. And I did, and when I say I didn't break anything, well, my biological father knows about the bus ride and the situation, so I didn't break anything. So, in my defense, I didn't break anything. So, except for some egos. That doesn't count, though, at all. No, that doesn't count. Yeah, doing that, no, that don't count, no. So then I warned every military guy I could, every military guy I possibly could, hey, these guys do this and you graduated basic training. I don't know what you did overseas, but you should not go to one of these Renaissance fairs because there were a few guys that specifically in the year of 2010, and I was like, do not go, do not, no, because they are playing a game, and then their feelings will get hurt. And so later, I have the reference of, so there's these haunted houses randomly here and there, not real haunted houses, one of those pretend sort of thing. And so you have to sign a waiver that you're not going to punch someone in the face or do all that sort of stuff. I could see why. And so it's one of those, oh yeah, so hold on. You're gonna have people, so instead of people jumping out of trees, you're gonna have people randomly jumping out of different areas doing this, and then you want me to not punch them? That's a no-go. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. So the only saving grace to that particular one was my son and my daughter being there. Because otherwise, I wouldn't ever go into a location like that at all, because of how that was. Well, this one guy, he jumps out and he has a chainsaw. It doesn't have any of it doesn't have the actual chain, but it was the motor. He's like, and so it was, my instant response was to put my fists up, similar to the trees, and instead I was all, and he went, and so then, because I had to be cool, I had to be so total ninja, and so, because I had my son and my daughter there, so I couldn't use his chainsaw on him like a baseball bat. So I just and he just, and so I took another step forward and I was all and then he ran away. It's like, it's the safest thing I could do. It's kind of weird in a haunted house to do that, but okay, that's fine. Come on, James and Lydia, let's keep going. As I'm looking around, it's like, there's a weapon, 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 there's a weapon. Woo! Woo! They said I couldn't punch. They did not say I couldn't use all this other stuff as a weapon. Okay. I'm gonna keep that in mind just in case anybody else decides to jump out with anything. I see a whole bunch of weapons, and you know what? For the rest of that time frame, nobody did that. When we got to the end of the haunted house thing, it's off of I-35 for those who know, between Austin going towards DFW. And so in that area, so I get out with my son and my daughter. My son and my daughter were like, no, it's fun. And the female at the end, she was like, you two still have your lollipops? My son and my daughter were like, yep, we sure do. And I'm like, yep. And they go, our mom was with us. And I was like, yes, I was. Because I am as I am. And so she goes, did you meet a guy with a chainsaw? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, he's crying right now. Why is he crying? And she said that he had spent so much time getting his whatever ready, and he thought he was gonna be all scary, 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 scary. And then I blew kisses. And he didn't know what to do because I was like, no. I didn't say schnuggles, I said love. Apparently there were some people who were like, it's okay, you could be scary, yes. You could be a big scary, 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 scary. And he's just so I don't go to places like that anymore. I only went there for my son and my daughter because they wanted to do that at that point in time. I was like, all right, I'll keep you safe. It's okay. It's okay. Apparently, caring genuinely and being a mom genuinely scares some people. Well, my nickname is Mama Bear, so. That's one of many nicknames. Skittles is another. Peppermint is another. It just is as it is, and so yeah, Shody is one of many different areas, though it depends on the accent as far as that's concerned, because it depends on which borough as far as that particular accent, and which part of which borough, depending on which street as far as that's, you don't need to know that, so, but you know. It is what it is. So, and my biological father would know because he knows where he did business in the 5 boroughs of New York City regarding that. And so he knows what was in those particular areas. As far as just the overall neighborhood aspects. And so, you know, it is as it is. It's, you know, whatever. Well, mind you, I go at that point in time, not the haunted house situation, though in reference to 2005. And my now dead ex-husband, and again, at that time it was during the first separation, he shows up and he's like, well, what's the big deal? And I explain it, and all of a sudden he goes, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, no. It was like a horrific situation. Well, then he all of a sudden starts getting angry because how dare, you know, I deal with what I was dealing, but, you know, how dare somebody else do that? I am so confused at that point in time because it's like, wait a second. So the Justice of the Peace problem happened and all that stuff. And this is the first separation, and you're like, who do you think you are doing that? And what? I am very confused. I am so confused in so many capacities. And so, I can acknowledge that, though. So, other situations go on. Well, I make attempts to explain it. 2006 occurs, okay? And then there's the garage situation where essentially it was, you know, the best wording, which is really crappy, but whatever, is trying to pawn me off in comparison. And it was one of those, I am not that. Don't ever do that. If you people don't actually appreciate me. Because if you actually appreciated me for who I am, you wouldn't be being in that capacity. If you actually had. If you actually appreciated who I am and the work I've done, you wouldn't do that garbage at all, whatsoever. Well, it was explained in reference to not just the Justice of the Peace, the garage situation in San Antonio, all these other particular factors, so on and so forth. 9 Lives books as far as that's concerned as well. And so then there's Cactus Jack as far as that's concerned. And Cactus Jack got the nickname of Cactus Jack because he had been in ROTC at UTSA, and when somebody called him the name Cactus Jack, he had a temper tantrum because he fell into a patch of cactus, and he had just eaten Jack in the Box. So, titty baby temper tantrum tried to claim that we had some sort of similarity because I didn't graduate basic training, and he wanted to try to claim that that was similar. So let me go over the differences. I had achieved a bunch of stuff. And because I achieved a bunch of stuff, the drill sergeant knew about other factors, the reality of certain types of programs despite the situation, and I completed the CCC and COC courses. There was 2 other courses that I can't remember as far as what the physical aspects are in the area, and then there were situations where I assisted with the UCMJ. That individual fell into a patch of cactus, was however, whatever, and then got called a name, and he quit. That's what it was, he quit. I, when in medical hold unit, kept making attempts to go back to the military. I was like, no, I could do stuff. So what, I deal with headaches. So what? So what, because that's, or so what? So what, I forget stuff. So what? Who cares? Who cares? I need to save the world. That's what I need to do. And so yes, I know I was 17 years old. I get it. But there's a difference between no. I don't care you're a major, whatever. I can totally do stuff. Okay? No, whatever rank, I don't care. Yeah, I don't care. Metal, half farm, E-I-E-I-O. I can joke now. And no, I'm totally capable of saving the world. You don't know. I'm so rar. I am so rar. 17-year-old. I figured, might as well. And so, so big, so rar. So hard. I mean, I am, but it is what it is. And so, in comparison to Cactus Jack, who got called a name, and all the name was is Cactus Jack, I am sure there are plenty of people who have been in the Army, or the Air Force, or Coast Guard, or Marine Corps, or the Navy, or the law enforcement, or a fire department, or EMS, or anywhere, who has been called a worse name than Cactus Jack. Yeah. For example, I wasn't even in any of those. When I was born, in the first year of my life, I was called a bitch, a whore, a slut, and a cunt. I was an infant. I have no sympathy. Oh, wow. Oh, you got called Cactus Jack because you fell on a patch of cactus? Where? Yeah, no, I don't have sympathy for that. I cannot relate to that at all. How do you think we're similar in any capacity? No. And so, there's just no comparison whatsoever. No, not at all. So he threw some titty baby temper tantrum, and then, the Road Warrior 151 situation in regards of San Antonio, Texas during the time frame of Fiesta San Antonio, which I know nothing about. Though I have the sensation that my outfit is a little apropos, and I don't know why. Okay. I went to the carnival area, okay? And so took my son and my daughter on some of the little carnival rides in comparison, though I have the sensation this might actually work out in regards to, I don't know what nosa is or something like that, and other stuff. But it seems this might be apropos. So it is what it is. Whatever that is. Nonetheless, I learned what cascarones are. It's glitter. That's what I know. There's glitter. Although, that's different. It has to be done this way instead. Yeah. Nonetheless. Which is funny because for Halloween in the year 1999, I got a 1 pound bag of little glitter and a 1 pound bag of big glitter, and I mixed them together. And then I went and found the janitor. And, I was all dressed up. I had a little fairy outfit on. And so I was a queen fairy, princess fairy, whatever. And it had like flowers right here, it's hot pink and stuff like that. And then I had little, ballet slippers that I picked up from the store and stuff. And I walked up to the janitor and I was like, I want to let you know what I'm gonna do. And I had my wand, I had everything. And he was like, okay, you're dressed up as what? Fairy. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna be sprinkling glitter. And he was like, why are you telling me that? I said, because you're the janitor. And he was like, yeah. I said, well, I'm tattletaling on myself so you know. So that way, I'm not doing it to make your job any more difficult. I just am letting you know. So that way, whatever. And he was, well, I appreciate you letting me know that. That's very sweet of you. And it was, yeah, I didn't want to be mean. I didn't want to make a mess and, whatever. And he's like, oh, that's okay. Thank you. Actually appreciate you letting me know. I've had issues figuring out a few things. And it was, yeah, glitter. And so, just went and did my own stuff, and he had said that there were certain situations regarding, I was like, well, you should talk with the police substation officer. He'd have some answers for you. And he was, really? And yeah, the police substation officer could tell you a few things so that way you don't have to whatever in certain regards. He goes, oh, well, that's helpful. You're a helpful little fairy now, aren't you? I was, okay. And on my way. I didn't have that big of wings at that time. And so, so then there was a situation which I made attempts to explain to my biological father about all this sort of stuff. And I made attempts to explain to other people, and they didn't see what I was talking about. They didn't see any problems regarding that. And it's one of those, you need to take this stuff seriously. It's not a joke anymore. It wasn't a joke before. It just progressed. And now you can see in the year 2022, all these other factors. And so time went the way it did, as far as I was concerned. And it was one of those, well, if you take things more seriously, honestly, and you have to be honest. That's the thing. You just have to be honest. So I had a situation, and I can make fun of myself easily. I easily can. I know myself well enough to be capable to make fun of myself. And so, where my ex-in-laws, they didn't seem to understand in any capacity of, especially, when I would talk with Grandpa Nichols. And so Grandpa Nichols, at the time frame before his death at that point, he and I would do the stereotypical kind of military joking around. And so those regarding the dependents and even, regarding the Air Force one, didn't understand that. I don't know what your problem is. I don't understand how you can't pay attention to these details. Well, in regards of the 151 situation, I had informed Grandpa Nichols about that because my biological father didn't see at that time, and so it was, this is what is going on. Well, you have my Medal of Honor art project trips in the year, most specifically of 2017. And the similarities as to what it seemed, not in the same way, though in reference to what was described to me as to that 151 Road Warrior situation, as to the San Antonio Fiesta, Texas. Well, Cactus Jack had been informed as to what occurred regarding the Renaissance Fair. And his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, Jamie Robles, at Nine Lives Books, you know, where I was volunteering and stuff like that, she knew some people in the Renaissance Fair areas. And Cactus Jack had not only been a part of Renaissance Fair stuff, though also reenactments. And so he was in the World War II reenactment stuff on the German side. And then he was in a different one on the Russian side in comparison. And it was one of those, his claim was that he thought was good enough was, well, somebody has to play the bad guy. And I informed him that's not acceptable at all. There's no need, no excuse, no cause in that reference that's acceptable regarding that because of the way it was arranged. It wasn't like at Old Tenet Presbyterian Church where you were informed. It was, oh, well, this is this. So then there was another guy who did Civil War reenactment on the American side or the Union side. And it was one of those, his thing was, you just need to remember that no matter what, Union side, okay? Union, okay, why? Just remember on the Union side, okay? And remember, you know, and so this guy, the one with the logging off in regards of that guy, he had said, remember, where were you born and raised? New Jersey, in the tri-state area, why? What did you say to Cactus Jack in regards of, as well as at that time, second and final separation? The North will win again. And he was like, yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay. And so at that point in time, you know, I had already brought up how it was a concern as to all those factors regarding those reenactment types. Then you have the mental health awareness and mental health situations, which when I was in 8th grade, I had met with Governor Christine Todd Whitman. And my question had been, what is there to do to fix and repair that? Because there's a lot of stuff to take in consideration, especially regarding the oceanic waters and other locations. And when she leaned back and spoke with her guys, as far as I was concerned, you know, it was, we have to, whatever as far as, so I don't know if they knew about my grandpa Gavitt because it wasn't very long before that point in time regarding his situation. And then, so I don't know, but I was invited to attend Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment. And it was known regarding quite a few factors as to the oceanic waters as to work. And I don't know how many of those guys in the suits that would show up to Old Tenet Presbyterian Church at that time frame to speak with me. However, then, you know, I suppose I can make a joke about that. So in the year 2008, or let me clarify, in the year 2004, I went on a vision quest. I was in my backyard in my house in San Antonio. I arranged a tent. And I had done a bunch of stuff as far as, because it was San Antonio, so, you know, it's already hot enough out. And I did some other stuff before actually going to a more traditional Native American vision quest as far as I was concerned. And I had created this whole situation for me to do this vision quest very similar to the Native Americans, though modernized, of course. And at a point in time, there was this light, this beaming light that caught my attention, and I opened up my tent and went outside, and there was this floating oak leaf. And not a pin oak leaf that would be seen in Texas. I'm talking about a regular oak leaf. So you have to look at oak leaves from New Jersey and New York State and Pennsylvania State to have that understanding of the type of oak leaf. And so it was floating and it was glowing and all that, and it was okay. And so I moved my hands in different directions because it was like, where's the string? Where is the string? Where is this? And all that sort of stuff. I pulled on it and it went back to the same spot, moved it around, it kept floating, and it was one of those, what is this? Fast forward to the year 2008. And I went and I am going to get myself the car that I have been wanting. It's not going to be the exact car because I really want a 69 Camaro RS SS 396 with a 396 cubic inch engine, dropped from a V6, bumped up to a V8, put that 5 to the floor as far as the manual transmission, chrome it out with the exception of the belts, turbo engine, midnight blue glitter in the paint, 2 white stripes up the front, down the back, black leather interior, 1 hard top, 1 convertible, and 1 T-top. Well, so that's 3 cars. Couldn't do that. So, go get the VW Beetle. Could do that. I wanted one of those. I was upset, I will say, because apparently they moved the trunk to the back and then the front is where the engine is. I was so upset. The dealership, I was so mad. So I was like, what do you mean? It's supposed to have, so I can make the joke, I understand in regards to General George Washington's office, it doesn't change, it's different. And so that's history and it is what it is. Nonetheless, I was very upset. What do you mean? It's supposed to have the engine in the back. So, in reference to that car, I called it my Bumblebee. It's a black convertible top, black leather interior, and yellow exterior. It looked like a Bumblebee. Didn't matter whether the convertible top was open or closed. It didn't matter. It looked like a Bumblebee. And the dealership salesman, he had asked me why I would think that. And I said, well, looking from above, it looks like a Bumblebee. And so, and he was taller than me, and he looks over and he's like, sure, whatever you think. And it looks like a Bumblebee. It's my little Bumblebee. And so he couldn't actually find the car in the, so he had, there actually, ironically, there wasn't even a piece of paper. There was no piece of paper on the car or in the car or anything like that. There was no, there wasn't anything as far as, so there wasn't the little stickers or anything. There wasn't even the marker as far as how they do that at the dealership. And it was one of those, okay, well, it's meant to be my car. I'm going to name you Zippy. And I swear, that car had a personality. And so it would meep a whole bunch of times and it would flash its lights randomly. It had its own little personality. So later in 2009, when I got into scuba diving, had all that work to do, I had told some of the people that I had met in scuba diving about a lot of situations. And they were, oh, no big deal. Oh, this, whatever. And in comparison. And so Cactus Jack tried to claim, oh, well, we're more friends than you are. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't pay for my scuba diving. I paid for my scuba diving. So that's not the same. There's no reference regarding that. Secondly, I'm the one who earned my 26 scuba diving certifications and I have done the work. You're not. And even if you were to get certified, you're not good enough and you won't ever be. I promise. And so there were several other factors. Well, they did get to see Zippy as far as that was concerned, and Zippy had issues with quite a few. And so when I had told Cactus Jack and then his friend Nathan was just like, I can't believe you have a Bumblebee car. And it was known regarding what I was and wasn't allowed to watch as a child. And so you have a Bumblebee car. Yes, named Zippy. It's a big deal. So there were a few situations such as I had taken Zippy I had driven somewhere and there was a little bit of rain and the car hydroplaned. And I was, there's only like 18,000 miles. I'll go get the tires checked, no big deal. So I took the car in to the dealership. And so this guy, he was, maybe in his 30s or 40s. And he was like, oh, did your mom have you bring this in? No, it's my car. And he was, oh, it's your car? Yeah. And so I explained the whole thing. And he's like, okay, you can go in the lobby area and wait. And so then a few minutes later, young lady, get up here right now. There was no one else in the lobby. You, Susan, get out here. You're not my dad. It's the only thing I could think. You're not my dad. But fine. Go see what's going on with Zippy. And so Zippy was up on the lift. He's like, do you see this right here? Yeah, it's a cable. And do you see this over here? Yeah, that's a cable. That's 2 cables. Okay, well that makes sense why there's the hydroplaning. Okay. So I need new tires, is what you're saying. There is only 18,000 miles on this car. What is wrong with you driving? Da-da-da-da-da. Mind you, Zippy on the lift has the eyelashes and the flower petals as far as the cover. And the lights. So I go scuba diving. And sometimes when you go scuba diving, you drive on gravel. This 18,000 miles does not make any sense, even if you do drive on gravel. What is wrong with you? Where are you really da-da-da-da-da? Mind you, Zippy's up there with the blinking lights. I go scuba diving, and so sometimes I drive fast, and it could be that. It could be only that I drive fast on the road. I mean, I do really drive fast. I do acknowledge that. Yes, I do. Different type of burning rubber? And that is not funny. Da, 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 da. Meanwhile, Zippy on the lift is just so when lift came, and I had asked, I said, can you bring the lift down for a minute? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, yeah, if you could just get the menu for the tires that I can look at, I appreciate that. So he walks off, the lift comes down, and then, which I couldn't hit it too hard, but it was because, I didn't want it to topple over. So the guy came back. He's like, so we have these tires, da-da-da. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. It's great. That's awesome. Yeah, I will totally get those tires because, yeah. What are you doing? Oh, I saw a bug and, I might have mistook it because it's a beetle. So, yeah. When we get back to the house. We are going to have a discussion. This is unacceptable, Zippy. And so got the tires taken care of. Get the car back to my house in Carrollton. So I just go in my house and I sit in my backyard and Zippy starts. And that's nice, like you bitch. So we had a discussion per se, and so shortly later went to Cozumel, which Zippy was mad at as well because she didn't get to go not only to Cozumel but also Florida and all that sort of stuff, and it was as it was. She was mad as far as I was concerned, and it's just which she knew. She knew as far as I was, so it is what it is. Anyway, which I can make a joke because there was the guy that I dated shortly after. He made fun of me for me naming my car Zippy. And then we were at his house in his garage, and his house was kind of set up similarly-ish to my house, especially with the parking. Except he didn't have the carport, and I had a bigger garage, and I had a bigger carport, and I had a bigger driveway, and so it was as it was in comparison. But of course somebody would have never taken consideration, that sort of problem regarding that, because that type would assume that I would have what my biological little sister would have in comparison. And that hypothetical instead. And so, those types, as far as how they take scuba diving in a recreational capacity compared to. And so that is as it is, obviously. So anyway, those types, as far as those needless problems, my opinion. And so, as the situation went, some people were introduced to my VW Beetle Bumblebee car named Zippy until whenever. And then I was informed that Zippy had escaped. Because Zippy let me know. And so I was like, oh, well, there you go. Well, probably shouldn't be that way regarding certain factors. And, that is as it is. And you stir up needless drama over that sort of stuff. And that is as it is. So, whatever it is as it is regarding that. So, I've had a few situations well before and well after regarding 2004, but those problems regarding those reenactment types. I didn't grow up with pop culture. I dealt with people who thought it was funny when I didn't. I still don't find it funny at all. And so if you take in consideration, I can only tell the truth. I've had situations well before my head injury, as well after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And the situations as far as pictures that I've taken, videos that I've taken, so on and so forth, well, it is as it is. So I've handled situations as best as I could, and it's been as it's been. Nobody's actually asked me to talk about it or speak about it with them, because that would require speaking with me in actual truth in comparison to pretending or doing that Excalibur fair garbage, as far as that's concerned. And, it's supposed to, there's a saying in every sport, You leave it on the field. Well, you leave it in Excalibur Fair. Don't bother me. I wasn't interested in it. That's why I didn't return to actually attend an event. I actually met these two males at IHOP on Bandera in 1604. One male had neon green hair because he had went to a St. Patrick's Day, whatever, and the other one didn't. I actually liked the other one. And so situations were as they were at the time, and they had talked about the Renaissance Fair. I had brought up what happened and all that, and they were like, oh, we know people. And it's like, yeah, well, all of those people can go fuck themselves, because I don't ever want to have anything to do with that. That was a horrific situation, and there is nothing that can be made up for that. I don't care what you try to rebrand it as, that is a horrific, worthless amount of time. When you could actually utilize that sort of stuff in a more positive way in comparison to that garbage, that sort of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of mental health disorders because of your types of people that would do that. You need to be capable to actually understand that when you are not in that vicinity, that is it. I don't care as far as a bunch, and bunch of people tried. Even in Washington State, so those who know Nina had been involved with some Oregon or Washington State Renaissance Fair or whatever, and I told her what happened, and she was like, oh, at our fair, we don't know. I don't care. There is no Renaissance Fair that I ever want to attend. I don't care about how my outfits are. I don't care what my biological mother has been a part of. I am not interested. Accept no for an answer. It's just as it is. The only way I'd ever go to one is, well, I've already filed official law enforcement reports, as far as that's concerned. Because registering my first two books with the Library of Congress is an official report from someone who is medically retired with a blue ID card. So since 2014, because of everything that occurred the way it did, and any associated portion as to those types, well, you're not supposed to take that outside of the Renaissance Fair, period. And so with all of the social media and all that sort of stuff, you have certain locations that are arranged for that. So take Disney for that. At Disneyland, it doesn't matter if you wear stuff outside of Disneyland or Disney World. You know for a fact that's what it is. In comparison. And so, no, I hadn't been to a Renaissance Fair before, and no, I have no desire, want, need, or preference to go to another one. At all. That was enough for me. And so, with everything that I dealt with regarding that, sure, if you had a more futuristic one, maybe, but I'm not interested at the same time, because after what I personally dealt with, as far as that was concerned, yeah, no, that sort of, no, thank you. And it's a personal preference. I have the choice as to what I actually am interested in comparison. And sure, yeah, in future stuff, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I've authored a few books, whatever. But it is one of those situations regarding that was such a type of situation that it just was as it was. So I haven't ever had anybody ask me about it, in truth. Or any of those factors, especially in a conjunction such as, my scuba diving. I've been annoyed by that, absolutely. Because instead of just asking in truth, literally all that has to be done is where, someone actually speaking with me in truth would be, hi, my name is, you got the Eminem song, and actually tell me who, in truth, in comparison, as well as the why, and, who, what, where, when, why, and how. Very simple, as far as that's concerned. And in truth, in comparison. So those reenactor situations, so in Club Sapphire, if you go to my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, if you look at my journal blog, the Ornery PSA, though also my book section regarding the modern day book, you have that reference as to those situations. And there was some female outside in the smoking section, biological female, who told me she thought I should be kinder to actors and actresses. Why? Why would you do that? Why would someone say that at what's supposed to be considered a consenting adult lifestyle location? So I don't pretend. So when I've brought up as far as what I can see and all of these aspects of, I haven't ever pretended. I haven't ever reenacted, and if I have, I let you know. So, in those references as to earlier in this official YouTube video of mine, subscribe to my official YouTube video, like my official YouTube video, and share the links to my official YouTube videos. Those situations regarding, even in this one, there's that for that pretending for the official YouTube video to give that explanation. I have always been capable to distinguish the difference in comparison to those nincompoops. As far as those types, that's not my fault that they can't distinguish the difference. That's their fault, not mine. That's their ignorance, not mine. They know as far as whatever in that capacity. So while those particular situations have been only needless problems, in comparison, that's why the 10 Commandments are important. It's not even in a pretend aspect the way the Renaissance fair types as far as that wishful garbage. No, in actual current time, modern day law, yeah, sure, it's not called the 10 Commandments. However, there are laws where each of those 10 Commandments are considered under whatever penalty if you break them. So, thou shalt not blaspheme my name translates to, thou shalt not slander me. Thou shalt not tell any whatever in that regards of. Thou shalt not take my name in vanity. There are laws against identity theft. Obviously. Thou shalt not lie. Well, guess what? If you're under oath, especially, or if you're speaking with a law enforcement officer, or if you file an official report, thou shalt not lie. Well, even at that Renaissance fair, those douchebags that jumped out of the trees with the five of those, well, first off, they lied in regards of their garbage, and then they lied afterwards as to what they told the law enforcement. As I was informed was a sheriff, I had never seen a sheriff that way in that capacity, nonetheless. So then you have thou shalt not steal. Well, there are laws against that. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Guess what happens if you're married to someone and they find out and you didn't have permission? I'm not in a relationship. I don't have that issue. However, whenever I've been involved in regards of even thinking about, if I find out at all in regards of any relationship aspect, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I am not willing to be a part of that at all. You will be loyal and faithful to me and me alone. If you are dating someone else, you better be loyal to them. I am not going to covet somebody else's spouse or whatever relationship aspect. There are penalties regarding that as well. Obviously, even if in regards of coveting, there are different types of penalties. If you covet what is not yours, what are the physical, mental, emotional, whatever aspects of? Those are penalties. It's very simple. So while sure, it's not considered the 10 Commandments, in the official regarding legal aspects as to whichever city, precinct, state, country, whatever, it's still there though. And it doesn't matter whether you're a Judeo-Christian country or not, you still have those basic tenets as far as that is concerned. So in 1999, after the situation regarding in Indiana, I made a promise that I wasn't going to ever lie at all. I re-upped that promise regarding that, even though I didn't have to, in reference to the first separation from my dead ex-husband, my ex-in-laws, dead relative, and yes, unfortunately, though the reality, my son and my daughter's biological father who died. I made that promise to my son and my daughter. In turn, that translates to, because I don't know all of who could possibly ever be my son and or my daughter's friends, that translates to that. So there are those factors. You might not like the words, it don't matter. It's still the truth. So yeah, Irving in 2011 occurred, and it is as it is. But because of everything I was already dealing with, and irony of ironies, this is how I know Zippy escaped. So I got in a new car. And Irving in 2011 occurred as many times as it did. So, I've taken plenty of pictures and videos over the decades. Not just after waking up from my coma after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. Well before then. I had even made attempts to work with a DSLR that I had, and I could work with it only in certain circumstances. And it just wasn't something I was willing to go into much more detail with, so I made some adjustments. And then, yes, I gave it to my biological father. The whole kit, everything that I had worked with as far as that was concerned. Gave it to him, and maybe, I know there's the garbage regarding Anna being herself and those needless problems. And then there's the problems regarding Patricia, my biological little sister, being herself as far as that's concerned. Exit 200 regarding Starbucks, and then that abomination of a wedding and all those other situations regarding that. But here you go, because that camera that had those pictures as far as that abomination of a wedding, yeah, I took those pictures because my son had been the freaking ring bearer and my daughter was a flower girl. But etiquette. Why would I, regarding that journal, etiquette? It is so irony that so many people from Austin at that point in time had an issue. regarding being told to utilize etiquette correctly. And even still, it wasn't even just in reference to other people. It was literally how I informed how I was going to be. So when I had written that, it was, I am not going to do this, I will do this, da 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 da. And then other people, well, I don't care how you feel. That's on you. I don't care. This is how it's going to be. So if you have an issue, because I won't tolerate certain things, that's on you. And that's just the facts. I'm not willing to deal with certain things. And so, yeah, and that was in only the area of what's supposed to be considered the consenting adult lifestyle, whether BDSM or LGBTQP or swinger communities. However, it's also common sense to the 10 Commandments regarding thou shalt not covet somebody else's spouse. Well, if I see someone who has a ring on their finger, I'm not going to be flirting with them. There is no capacity of that. I don't care. If they only do it for decorative purposes, well, that's on them. That's their choice. But that's the way I view it. And so you don't have a ring on your finger, I'm not going to automatically flirt with you either at the same exact time, because I'm just not that type of person. I grew up as a tomboy. So, I can make acknowledgments as to physical attractiveness. It doesn't translate anything other than that. That's not the same as coveting, obviously. Because coveting, you actually make attempts in comparison, and only in that reference, in comparison. So I don't do that. I'm not that type. I don't go out of my way to that capacity up. I haven't ever been that type, and I won't ever be that type. So I have this innate common sense where I can focus on other stuff. I can acknowledge a attractive whatever and still maintain my focus. The best example would be all of those years at different events that are supposed to be considered adult consenting lifestyle stuff, and when stuff needed to be handled, no matter what the situation was, I didn't focus on any aspects of who I could have considered as attractive at that point in time. I focused on what work needed to be done. And I was literally in the midst of everything. So if other people have their own issues, that's them, but that's not me. Don't ever make that mistake. Make sure you understand that in that comparison. So even in the midst of whatever location, whatever event, if stuff needed to be taken care of, I would take care of stuff. That's just the facts. It's just how I am. So, in regards of anybody who could have went and complained to my biological mother and or my biological father and or my biological little sister, as I dealt with a phone call regarding my biological little sister while dealing with the situations in reference to McCoy Elementary School, Carrollton Farmers Branch Independent School District, the scuba diving factors as well. That spoiled brat had been as that had been in comparison to actually, being mature and responsible and handling business correctly. So, this Father's Day, I guess it depends on what you were taught and how you were taught to be. I had grown up learning how to defend myself, make sure to get my education, respect other people, have etiquette in those factors, mind your own business. You know, what's not your business is none of your business, no matter what. So if it's none your business, it's none your business. And that's how that goes. I was raised to actually be a strong, independent individual, which could look past certain things. So this is how I raised my son and my daughter as best as I could, despite other people and how they decided to be. There's also the aspects of minding manners, as far as that's concerned, dressing appropriately per location, per event, instead of whatever other people might think. My biological father is a first-generation Chinese male. So he went to high school in the late 1960s. So when it comes to other people as to their opinion, again, he's a first-generation Chinese male and went to high school in the late 1960s. He also had been in the Merchant Marines, as well as had been certified in scuba diving with the J or K valve. So if you've met my biological father, you might recognize a few personality traits. And so sure, I would guesstimate the best Father's Day gift someone really could give my biological father would be, how dare your daughter not go and be a slut in scuba diving? How dare she take scuba diving seriously in comparison to a recreation while she was a single mom of 2 children? Your daughter had the nerve to take her scuba diving seriously. She had the nerve to go and educate herself before actually taking the classes. Your daughter had the nerve to earn 26 scuba diving certifications and not have a dick she was sitting on to do so. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a great Father's Day gift for my biological father, along with, your daughter had the nerve to be involved in what's supposed to be considered the adult consenting lifestyle. And when she was in the BDSM areas, she didn't just randomly, irresponsibly do stuff. No, she had the nerve to educate people after she had been educated as far as learning from the Dominant Mentor program. And she had done research beforehand. And she took classes so that way she could understand the information, and she had the nerve to not be doing pickup stuff or pickup play or any of that on a continuous basis. Yeah, she had the nerve. She had the nerve to take that seriously, and she had the nerve to sanitize her tools if she ever played, and she had the nerve to do all sorts of stuff to educate people so that way they didn't have any problems if they paid attention. And when she was in the swinger community, she had the nerve to not actually do what most swingers do. She had the nerve to put out the condiments and make jokes that they're called condiments in comparison because she helped put the condoms out. And so, yeah, she had the nerve to do that. Then she had the nerve to pay attention to details so that way if she had to keep anybody safe where she could, she did. Yeah, I'm sure that'd be a great Father's Day gift for my biological father. Yeah, she had the nerve to do that. She also had the nerve, absolute nerve, to when she did modeling, only with her clothes on. Yeah. All of her modeling that she ever did, only with her clothes on. Yeah. Which in that reference, any images without, well then it would be known that I wouldn't ever allow that. For clarifications. Oh, she also had the nerve to be protective of her son and her daughter. Yeah, she had the nerve to do that. What type of mom that's responsible would do that? You know, in comparison. Oh, she also had the nerve to defend and stuff like that, and she had the nerve to protect as best as she could. Oh, and in regards to scuba diving, she had the nerve to go handle business throughout the waters of the state of Texas, kept that clear. She had the nerve. She did. She also had the nerve to go and handle business at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico. Each scuba dive, she had the nerve to do so. She had the nerve. I'm sure my biological father could appreciate this. But at the same time, she had the nerve to stop bad mer people and whoop some ass and make St. John Vianney High School bus look like child's play when it came to that. Yeah, that's right. She had the nerve. She had the nerve to have what she calls a Cthulhu. They be scared of her. Yeah. In the Gulf of Mexico, she whooped that. She introduced that sort of stuff to the actual bottom of the ocean in a different way. Because, you went to Old Time Presbyterian Church. You know what the grounds look as? Well, your daughter had the nerve to do that in the Gulf of Mexico and out of the Atlantic to locations. Yeah, had the nerve. I'm sure my biological father could be like, so, as any father could be, so she wasn't just randomly being a typical hippie in the modern time frame. So she wasn't like a typical hippie in the modern time frame at all. And then the irony, so in this aspect of pretend, again, subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, go to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com, and take in consideration for that. Yeah, your daughter had the nerve to use the name Lady Doribell that she created in comparison to what other people have utilized for some of their names. Yeah. And yeah, you take that in consideration. And so your daughter had the nerve when she went scuba diving, she set up a camp. Yes, she did. Yeah, she did night scuba diving before she was certified to go night scuba diving. And hypothetically, which could be a good idea, your daughter, none of the other scuba divers that were around, I guesstimate, would ever know that she had. Doesn't matter where it was, whether it was Lake Travis, Clear Springs Scuba Park, or the quarry in Huntsville, Texas. So if none of those scuba divers in those areas during those time frames knew that I was that ninja. Yeah, go ahead, go tell, go ahead, that's fine. I'm sure that he could be like, well, most likely he would be like, well, then what did she do? Because then it would actually turn around as far as that. So you knew that occurred? So if you knew that occurred, what did you do to actually assist in comparison? And so if you're a biological male, this is how that would go. So you have a pair of balls, do you? Are you sure? Are you sure you have a pair of balls? Because I could see my biological father doing this. So you have a pair of balls and you have a penis. There was this one point in time, I told Susan that the best part of a man that distinguished a male from a female is a penis. And apparently, if he were to have found out, so that's why she has so many strap-ons in comparison to you. Not that I use it in that capacity. Nonetheless, so her internal strength is far more that, you know what, I'm going to have to retract that statement. Because apparently, especially if this, I could see my biological father do. So you have a penis. Are you sure? you know what? Do you have any testosterone regarding your penis? I don't know. You know, maybe, you know, maybe Betty White was correct in comparison because you, I don't know how you're considered a man. My daughter is more of a man than you'll ever be. Apparently. I could easily see my biological father doing that. I could also see, so I told my daughter that girls are a bunch of bitches. And apparently, did you bitch a bunch about her? So you just bitched a bunch. Did you do anything that was worthwhile? Did you actually assist, or did you just go and bitch? Oh, you just went and bitched a bunch? And then I could see if there was a male and a female. So which one of you actually has a penis? You know, which one of you two is actually intelligent? Like, do you have a brain between the two of you? Like an actual one, a real one. I could see my biological father doing that very, no. Do you have any intelligence at all? Huh? What is intelligence to you? So did you know that stuff was going on? Do you know people? Do you know how to use words? Do you? Because I did grow up with a, so if you think that, so what would you do if you were in, no. If you were in her situation, what would you think would be better? Do you have any capability to think at all? Are you smart enough to think? I didn't give you permission to speak. You can see where that came from. And said, no. So, she did not go and do it, and especially in the lifestyle. So she didn't go and be a whore? Oh, well that's good. Good, okay. So she wasn't a slut? Okay. She was accused of it, well, whatever. Accusations, but proof. So, you know, and I could easily see how my biological father would be. And then, what about you, male? Are you a whore or are you a slut? Or are you a man? Which one are you? I can easily see my biological father doing that. And that is in reference to my biological little sister and her husband. That's not even in regards to... In that hypothetical. Yeah, no, I could totally see that. I could. And that's not even in regards to anything else. And then, here's in regard. So in scuba diving, she did what? Did you know she was doing that? Why not? Why didn't you know that? No, you're an instructor. You have to go and get insurance. Why are you doing things that way? No, go ahead and explain. She earned how many scuba diving certifications, and you think that she's just an advanced scuba diver? What would make you think that she's just an advanced scuba diver? Are you too stupid to count? You know, I know she acknowledged that she freaking went from college algebra with trigonometry and calculus to second grade math. Do you know how to count? Huh? Do you know how to count? I could totally see my biological father doing this. So do you think 26 scuba diving certification? Because I could easily see one of them being like, well, she earned the advanced open water and it's not the same. Yeah, well, what make you think that she's not the same as every other type of scuba diver? You know what? You are recreational. Because why would you ever take anything seriously? You actually have to think that would be anything worth more? You really have to think? Are you sure you should be an instructor? Because why would you be an instructor if you can't think? Because actual thinking is in requirements of that. What would make you think that you'd be better? Oh, you think that just an advanced... When did she earn her advanced scuba diving certification? Did she earn any scuba diving certifications after her advanced open water scuba diving certification? What was the last scuba diving certification she earned? Oh, cavern scuba. You know what? Maybe cavern scuba diving certification is a little bit more than advanced. Do you think that's a little bit more than advanced? Yeah, sure, she's not a scuba dive instructor, but it's maybe a little bit more advanced. What about, oh, she was looking at going into ice scuba diving and she was responsible enough to pull herself back in comparison to going and doing that? Oh, but you think that you know what? That's the difference between her and you. That's why you're a civilian recreational scuba diver, you lazy piece of trash. I could so see my biological father doing this. And then the trimix, the TRI, yeah, 3. Oh, she's smart enough to know she couldn't do that sort of stuff, and instead you go, and what? Oh, you think that that's funny? Do you think that, what's funny about that? What do you wear? You know what? She's correct. You have a binky. It's called your, no. It's a binky, your little pacifier in reference to that little regulator. She's accurate that. And you got your little booties. Yes, you get your little booty. I could so see my biological father doing this. Again, I spent more time. Why was basic training like, well, the UCMJ says as far as that female's hair is concerned, nonetheless. And so I could see my biological father doing this. Again, there's 2012. And so, oh, no. So you think, so is she more of an advanced, no, I didn't give you permission to speak. Don't make me get something. No. So. When did she earn her advanced open water scuba diving certification? How many scuba diving certifications? Oh, no. Adventures of Susan Mealing Scuba Diver Extraordinaire in my book section on my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, so I could totally see my biological father doing it. Oh, so how many can you count? Can you read? I don't know. Who's smarter than who? Oh, she had a subarachnoid. Oh, what does that have to do? She didn't have the subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of her brain when she was doing scuba diving. What's wrong with you? You knew about the medical aspect of what are you doing? You think you're it? I can totally see my biological father doing this. Yeah, and or military guys. I could easily see some, coasties, Marines, Navy, if in the Air Force or the Army, probably Special Forces-y types of guys. And again, going back to, no, can you count? How did I do 1, 2? Totally see my biological father doing this too. 1, can get 1. Oh, you got your little onesie? Yeah, can you count to 1? That's more than 1. So what? No. So which certification? I know. Shit, she pulled herself out of trimix. How many scuba diving certifications did you pull herself back? I know. Trimix might be confusing because of the word try and train. But totally see my biological father doing this, by the way. So try, train, so how many? 2. And then, so what is after that? As far, no, how many so you can count to 3. Okay, so she pulled herself out of 2, and what if that has a trimix, a tree? Okay, so in this reference, she earned her scuba diving certification. It's a National Geographic open water scuba diving certification compared to just a regular open water scuba diving. You civilian recreational scuba divers, yes, that's what you are in comparison. She earned 26. Then I could see afterwards him going out to the back or the garage to light a cigarette. That bitch went and landed at the bottom of the ocean without me. I don't want to see what's there, actually. But at the same time, that bitch. She survived. She lived. Whatever. Just kind of mad. So all you knew and you could have told me. Oh, no. Have to find out walking in when Patricia's bitching to Anna about something. Bitch. Yeah, well, you know what? He probably hypothetically would have found out in the year 2009 if a bunch of stuff didn't occur. Yeah. 2009, it would have been that, but instead, so, you can explain to my biological father why that didn't occur, though he knows because of finding a silver lining. Yeah, so there you go on that. Thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel. Subscribe to my official YouTube channel. Like my official YouTube videos, go to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Share the links to my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, for other people to read as well. And, there's the difference between, knowing that this is an official YouTube video. Mine, of course, leave comments, but use etiquette and respect. In comparison to doing this out in the general public, when in person, face-to-face in person with someone else. You guys have a good day. Happy Father's Day. The 19th of June, 2022.